All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon, and in this video, we are going to talk about what Keith one-time Thurman had to say again about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight. And we're going to assume for the sake of this video that it is going to get signed and done per reports. Let's talk about that in this video. All right, welcome back to the channel. It's your boy Fanon. In this video, we are going to be in the 147-pound division again. And I am optimistic that these reports that have come out from various sources will be correct and that we actually will get to see the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight on November 19th in Las Vegas. Big time fight. So as you know, there's going to be a lot more now predictions about the fights coming up, what people think about the fight. And Keith one-time Thurman is somebody that I was waiting to hear again what he had to think. And so he comes out and shares his viewpoint. And I thought it was kind of interesting because I don't agree with him. But before I get into that, let me welcome you to the channel. If you are new to the channel, please accept my invitation to hit that subscribe button, hit the bell icon so you can be notified of when we release more videos. If you are a longtime subscriber and supporter of the channel, thank you so much for coming back and checking out the video. Make sure you hit that like button and the share button. Also, if you feel like supporting the channel, there is a super thanks button down there that allows you to do that and to support the community. Would be greatly appreciated. But let's get into that. Let's get into the subject matter. So Keith Thurman says something I thought was very interesting about the Errol Spence Jr. Terence Crawford fight, where he says that Errol Spence Jr., he didn't pick a winner in the fight, but he said, look, there's some things that Errol Spence Jr. has not experienced before. He has not experienced fighting against an athletic, quick twitch fighter with a high IQ like myself, Keith Thurman, and Terence Crawford. And that I thought was an interesting point because that's something that a lot of people say about Errol Spence, that he has not fought that type of fighter, somebody that, somebody that can do pretty much everything, all kind of different things in the ring. They think on the fly. They're very athletic. They've got fast hands. Talking specifically about Terence Crawford, that, Errol Spence Jr. has not seen that type of fighter before. So, that very well may be something that he's not used to and that he has to overcome, right? Very fair, very fair to say that. If you look at the people that he's fought, that doesn't apply to anybody any world really, top level fighter that we've seen him fight. That's not how your Danny Zugas fights. That's not how Sean Porter fights for the most part. Not how Danny Garcia fights. Kell Brook, I think when he fought Kell Brook, that may fall. Kell Brook falls more into that category at the time they fought him, but not as much as Terence Crawford and Keith Thurman. So point very well taken. Now my only thing here is about that is two things. Well, not my only thing, two things. First, just because you've not dealt with that before doesn't mean that you can't deal with it. However, also I would point out that if you want to say, what kind of style is really meant to deal with people that have very quick twitch muscles, move a lot, and do all that athleticism, it's the style that Errol Spence Jr. guy has. It's a guy that is very expert at cutting off the ring, somebody that uses their jab very well, and somebody that will attack the body and wear you down and try to take your legs away from you and take that athleticism away from you over the course of the fight. So even though he has not faced somebody, and honestly, man, he's not faced anybody the caliber of Terence Crawford. And it may be argued that he hasn't fought anybody that's the caliber of Keith Thurman in his prime. And I will also say Terence Crawford in his prime, because if you've watched Terence Crawford fight over the last several years, Terence Crawford is not fighting in the same fashion that he was fighting when you saw him in there with Victor Postal, right? When he was at 140 pounds, like 6 years ago, where he really was moving very fast, left, right, staying on the outside, jutting in, jutting out, jutting in, jutting out, all of that stuff, right? And he really did utilize that type of foot speed and that type of stuff for the length of the fight. You've not really seen that as much from Terence Crawford at 147 pounds, mainly because he hasn't fought the level of competition where you may necessitate that to be the case, but also because he's 34. By the time November comes around, he's going to be 35 years old. So you have to wonder, it's fair to wonder whether or not he's still going to be able, whether or not he still is like super athletic and super fast twitchy like he was when he was at 135 and when he was at 140 and maybe even during earlier times when he was at 5 years ago when he first showed up to 147. Because if you look at Keith Thurman and you watch the fights that Keith Thurman has had lately, that's not the same. Keith Thurman at 35 years old, or I'm not sure how old he is. He may be, but he's older than Errol Spence and somewhere around that age. At the age that Keith Thurman is not moving around the ring anywhere like he was moving around the ring when he was fighting, when he fought Sean Porter and he fought Danny Garcia. And even in that case, as those guys wore to the body and the rounds went on, they started slowing down, right? So we'll see whether or not that is actually the case for Errol Spence Jr. and Terence Crawford, because if Terence Crawford has slowed down a little bit, and at 35 years old, he has. That's not even a question about whether or not he's going to be as athletic and fast at 26 as he is at 35, or as athletic at 35 as he is at 26. That is just not the case with most human beings. And regardless, he is going to be just like Floyd Mayweather said, and he said this about Devin Haney. He's like, at a certain point in time, man, you're going to get in there with somebody where you're going to have to fight them. You're going to have to stand in front of them. You're going to have to fight them. And you're going to have to fight them off. Now, Terence Crawford most definitely has the ability to do that, to stand in there and fight with Errol Spence Jr. But at that point in time, it really does become a battle of counter punching and all of that type of stuff, but within a certain space. Now, many people are banking on the fact that Terence Crawford can just move away from Errol. He's not going to be standing right there, right? Those body shots are not going to affect him and all of that. Hopefully we get a chance to see. But as far for the reason for the most part that I've said that I thought Errol Spence Jr. is going to win that fight is because of Errol Spence Jr.'s ability. First of all, his work rate. And Terence Crawford does not have the work rate that Errol Spence Jr. has. Errol Spence Jr. really is going at you from the middle part of the first round, not just, irresponsibly sticking his head in there and going at you, but he's controlling that fight with a jab. And that southpaw and southpaw matchup is just going to be real interesting because Terence won't have the ability to switch to southpaw. And if he does switch to southpaw, he's going to be fighting as southpaw. He's going to be fighting in a stance at southpaw that he's really not used to dealing with. Now, he did do that with Julius Ndungo, but Julius Ndungo was somebody who was throwing a lot of really wide shots that he could catch you in between shots on those wide shots. And I just don't know if Errol Spence Jr. is going to be throwing that type of situation. I think Errol Spence Jr. is, with that high guard that he has, is underestimated by a lot of people because you catch a lot of counter shots with that. Now, he's definitely going to get hit here, and he's definitely going to get hit by Terence Crawford, and Terence Crawford is definitely going to get hit by Errol. But I don't know, man. It's just going to be really, really interesting to see, and I certainly hope we get to see this fight. But anyway, that's my take on the matter. You let me know what you think in the comment section. And with that, I'm out. Peace.